I am here with Josiah Deguara, number 81 tight end for the Green Bay Packers. Welcome, Josiah.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It is it's always a great day to be a Packer fan. I know, even through all the ups and downs. And it's just, for me, I'm excited to have you here as not only as a Packer fan, but we actually have a mutual friend in common all the way here. What a small world. We're in Wisconsin, but our friend Jeff connected us, and he's from California. You're from Sacramento.
Sacramento, yeah. Jeff goes to my dad's church. My dad's a pastor out in Sacramento, and that's how they connected us. So I'm happy to get connected and be here.
I knew Jeff. I have done ministry for anti-trafficking for many years, and I would travel with Jeff and his organization Student Reach, and we would go to do awareness assemblies before the Super Bowl talking about human trafficking. And so you were just telling us that was something you even discussed with the team about how much trafficking and things like that increased during the Super Bowl. Yeah,
it's very sad that is something that goes on surrounded by such a great game. So props to you and shout out to you for doing that with Jeff. You guys are awesome.
Well, as you mentioned, you grew up a PK, a pastor's kid, in Sacramento. Did you ever have a desire to follow in his footsteps?
We'll see. As of now, no. But I've always said that my ministry is kind of where my feet are. But I've loved being a pastor's kid. My dad has been a great role model for me and my little sister, just being able to show us what it's like to he's devoted his whole life to making disciples and making the name of Jesus known and loving on others. So he's a great role model for me, and I love all different types of ministry. Right now my ministry is in football, and we'll see what happens down the road with that.
All right. Maybe that could be in your future yet. Who knows? As a child, did you always want to have dreams of being an NFL player?
Yeah, I did. I grew up playing sports. In Northern California, I played basketball, football, baseball, anything I could get my hands on. But around high school, I kind of knew that football was the option for me that gave me the best ability to be able to go as far as I could. And it was always a dream for me. It was always something that, it was a far out dream, something that I could get to one day. And but things lined up throughout my career that made it happen, and I'm just blessed to be here right now.
Yeah. So after high school, you went to play for Cincinnati, and then eventually, of course, as we know, drafted into the NFL. So I'm just so curious about what that experience was like, because only 1.5% of draft eligible players actually make it. So what was that like? You were actually drafted earlier than expected. Yeah. Tell me about that day.
Yeah, it was an amazing day, something that I've always dreamed of my entire life. And like you said, I wasn't expecting to go that early, but blessed to be able to be drafted to such a great organization. And so many things had to line up to get me to that point, and the only explanation for that is God's hand was on all of it. Just getting to Cincinnati, wasn't supposed to be someone that played Division I football and move across the country all the way to Ohio. Didn't even know where Ohio was, and now I'm in Wisconsin for 4 years. So I've been in the Midwest for about 9 years now. So it's crazy what God could do just growing up in California and being out here for so long. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, you're listening to Q90 FM. We are talking with Josiah Deguara, tight end for the Green Bay Packers. So we were just talking about the draft. The draft is coming here next year. So that is something that is going to be interesting to see in Green Bay, because it is, smallest market in the NFL. On that day when you got the call that you were chosen by the Packers, I remember I heard an interview that you did with Jeff, and you were talking about how you hung up on the NFL.
Yeah,
how did that happen?
So how the draft works is you're kind of just waiting around. You don't know what's going to happen, and you kind of just have your phone on loud to hopefully get a call at any point. And I was actually walking around, not really paying attention. I didn't want to just sit down and stress about when am I going to go. I just try to enjoy the time, right? Because it's something that will only happen once. And it was during COVID, so I had a few of my family members, but yeah, I was just walking around and I get a call, look at my phone, and all of a sudden it hangs up right away. And I don't think I pressed a button, but I might have. I looking back on it, a lot of nerves, but my dad's like, who was that? And then they called right back, thankfully, and it was a Wisconsin number. And the rest is history from there.
Yeah, that's a bad time to make, because sometimes when you get a call, you can just easily accidentally hang
100%,
up.
It happens all the time.
Or you might see, Wisconsin, I don't know anybody there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so they called back and you made it to the NFL. What did you think about first coming to Green Bay? I mean, well, you were already in Ohio, so at least you had some taste of the Midwest, but small town, smaller market, cold. What were you feeling at that point?
Yeah, I didn't know much about it. I mean, I always tell people Ohio warmed me up or chilled me, I guess is a better word, but it's not as Midwest as Green Bay, but it got me used to the lifestyle a little bit, not as much snow or anything like that, but I just knew it was a small town, but I also knew it was a great place in the NFL, the most unique city in the NFL. And I've loved my time here, and it's been amazing these last 4 years just to be able to be surrounded by these great community and fans, as well as, all of my teammates.
Did you have, when you were waiting to hear in the draft, did you have an idea or did you have a choice or an interest in where you might want to end up?
You have a few places a few coaches that talk to you a little more than others. That's the only insight that you kind of get. It's really just a waiting game, a guessing game. There's a few places that I, thought I might end up, but Green Bay wasn't one of them. I talked to the coaches, maybe 1 or 2 times throughout the whole process, which is, a 3-4 month process. So you just never know, but obviously, blessed to be here and happy that Green Bay chose me.
Were you hoping for the 49ers?
No.
Okay.
I actually not at all. I actually grew up a Raider fan.
Oh.
And then once they left Oakland, I was free game, so the Packers picked me up, and
And here you are
here
in good old Green Bay. So, but still, I mean, that's pretty amazing. First of all, your dream has just come true. You made it to the NFL, but not only that, but you make it on a team that is a Super Bowl contender with MVP Aaron Rodgers. Was that intimidating to walk into, or exciting, or both?
Oh, both for sure. Intimidating and exciting. I mean, Aaron's a great guy. It was great to get to know him over the 3 years that we played together. But obviously very intimidating. One of the best players in the NFL. There was a very heavy leadership qualities from all the team, guys that had been in the league for a while. Mercedes Lewis was in my room, and he was here for he played for 18 years in the league, and he's still playing. So very it's always intimidating coming in as the new guy, but you're there for a few weeks, get to know a lot of people, and they become like brothers to you.
Mm-hmm. You're listening to Q90 FM. We are talking to Josiah Deguara, number 81, tight end for the Green Bay Packers. We have been talking a lot just this week in studio about adversity. We do a devotional every day, and ours was about overcoming adversity. And of course, this is something that as an NFL player, you have to deal with all the time. With the ups and downs in football, is that something that you had to learn early on, how to overcome adversity?
I did, yeah. So just talking about the whole draft process, got drafted 3rd round. Had a great last 2 years of college. So I'm on a high coming to Green Bay. I'm feeling great about myself and had a good camp. Went into week 1 as the starter at my position, had a great game, and then hurt my ankle, and then a few weeks later came back and actually tore my ACL. So it kind of blew out my knee. So that was the end to my rookie season. So that was the first adversity that I had really faced in the league. But it was something that has shaped me as a player, me as a person, has really helped me with my faith in the Lord and my relationship with him. Read a book called Detours by Tony Evans, and we were and I give that book to everyone on the team, because it just talks about how God, it's not always our plans, right? But it's God plans that kind of shape our lives, and that might be detours in our lives, but he uses that adversity, those detours to ultimately get us to his purpose for our lives. And that's what I learned through that process. And even though it wasn't great to not play that season, I look back on it and wouldn't change a thing.
Mm-hmm. And now most people who don't really know that much about football might not realize what that means, an ACL. But now, of course, I think everyone knows what that's like after seeing, a very high-profile player, Aaron Rodgers, tear his ACL and be out for the season. So here you are, you're ready to come to Green Bay, ready to play. Game 4, you tear your ACL and you're out. And then you suffered a concussion not long after that, right?
Yeah.
So it's just got to be thinking, okay, God, you brought me here, and now I've got this health issue and another health issue. But, you talk a lot about how your faith is the foundation to overcoming those issues.
Yeah, that's the only thing that gives me peace and strength through all those moments. Because I just kept getting knocked down, it felt like, because I tore my ACL. I came back, I got a quad contusion, and then the very next game I got knocked out cold on the field, which had never happened to me, which is also a very scary moment. So that was my first 4 games in the NFL.
Wow.
3 out of the 4, I had some type of injury, and 1 was season ending. So I was definitely down. But at the end of the day, the Lord picked me up. He gave me peace and strength. And I look back at it now, and I'm like, that really helped me to become the player and person I am right now because I went through that adversity.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you had one of your career highs, catching a 62-yard touchdown, which is not typical for a tight end. How did that feel, your first NFL touchdown?
Yeah, that was amazing to be able to do it that season, because that was the same season that I had got concussed in the beginning of the year and got knocked out. So to look at it, how the season started and how it ended, even though it didn't end how we wanted as a team, personally, I was able to overcome a lot that year and learn a lot about myself.
Mm-hmm. Q90 FM Christian Truth Radio. We're talking with Josiah Deguara from the Green Bay Packers. As a teammate on the Packers, building relationships and working together, that's a huge component of it. You're a very skilled football player, but you have to have that team dynamic as well. But that changes every year.
Yes.
How do you handle that, where you want to build connection, but then the people on your team are always changing?
Yeah, it's hard at times because you build such great relationships with people over, because we're together from April in the beginning of OTAs, besides July, we're together from April all the way to last week, right? So 8-9 months of the year we're together, and you build great relationships. And the business of the NFL, at the end of the day, it is a business. Obviously, it's a game that we play and get paid a lot of money for, and it's a blessing. But it's also a business. It's a cutthroat business, one that's hard to make it and stay in it, especially. So, yeah, it's a turnover each and every year. But I think I've been blessed to have core guys. We actually just went to dinner with our 2020 draft class, there's like 6 of us that are still on the team. So It's a blessing to be able to have those guys. And you just try to build community, build relationship where you can. And it's funny, you actually bond with people pretty fast in this league. It takes a week or two to grow relationship and foundation, and I had that in my room this year with a bunch of rookie tight ends. So it was awesome to build a relationship with those guys, and there are always friendships that will last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of building relationships, as a tight end, of course, it's important for you to have a connection with the quarterback, and you got to play with MVP Aaron Rodgers, and came into a Super Bowl contending team. And then all of a sudden, everything switches around. I mean, I guess it wasn't all of a sudden. There was a lot of drama.
Yeah, for sure.
And now you find yourself with Jordan Love. How did you make the transition between Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a team, we kind of knew once everything was going on what was going to happen. And once it did, we didn't blink an eye. We trusted Jordan from the very beginning. Obviously we got drafted together, so he's one of my good friends on the team. And we had a lot of guys come in, a lot of turnover, and people just bought in from the beginning. Obviously, the season was a lot of ups and downs, but I think you saw at the end of the year how much we came together. And, yeah, the team works hard, and we have a lot of talent on the field, but I think that all goes back to relationships and the love that team had for one another. It was pretty cool to see, and a lot of it has to do with the leadership that Jordan came in with.
Mm-hmm. Q90 FM, I'm Terra K, and I'm talking with Josiah Deguara, tight end for the Green Bay Packers. And right now, so I have a question about this. We're going to fast forward now. We talked about the transition into this season. And of course, this season, the underdog started out as the underdog. Everybody loves a good underdog story. But there were many fans after the first part of the season wasn't going so well that were saying, we should just throw the season and get some high draft picks.
Yeah.
But then at the end, made it all the way quite far into the playoffs. What was that like going down to Dallas and beating the Cowboys unexpectedly, and then the upset in San Francisco against the 49ers?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great team win just because we had really our last 5 games were all playoff games. We had to win each and every one to advance, really. So for that team to come together and play like we did at the end of the year, it was pretty special to see. We all played complimentary football on all 3 phases of the game, so it was cool to see us come and do that. And going into Dallas and beating them like we did is something that a lot of guys will remember forever. I know I will. Obviously, we came up short in San Francisco, which is disappointing, but this team has a lot of bright things to look forward to in the future.
Mm-hmm. As a football player, you are constantly handling criticism and feedback, a lot of that just even from fans, all those armchair quarterbacks and coaches out there. How do you handle that? How do you pay attention to what's being said, especially on social media or on news interviews or things like that, or are you able to tune it out?
Yeah, I think it's a balancing act. I don't really have social media throughout the year. Maybe a day a week every now and then just to check up on certain things. But I got an amazing support system with my family. My wife Ashton is amazing. If I come off a game, she'll check my Instagram, make sure she'll check my social media, make sure any messages or if there's anything negative, she'll just delete it so I don't have to look at it because I don't need that getting into my mind or anything like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's God, the one who gives me the strength to overcome because we're professional athletes and it kind of comes with the job. We know we're going to get praised when everything's going well and people are going to kick us down when things aren't going great. So it kind of just comes with the territory of being a national football player. And the only thing that gets me through that is God being constant always. He never wavers. He's always there. And that's who I got to rely on with those moments of good and bad.
Mm-hmm. When it's all said and done, what would you like to be known for?
Man, I just want to be known for loving people because that's what Jesus calls us to do. Love others as he has loved us, right? So at the end of the day, I want to be known for that, impacting people in a way. At the end of the day, being a good person, being a good friend, a good teammate, someone who impacts people beyond this game and anything we can do on the field at the end of the day doesn't really matter in the stance of eternity. So I just want to love on people, impact them far more than this game can do so.
Are there other we've seen some news articles come out about other players that have expressed their faith in God too. Do you encourage each other on the team? 100%.
You have to have community in any phase of our relationship with God. Community has been huge for me. We have a great group of guys on the team that we try to meet with Bible study every week, and we also have a couples study. So we challenge each other, we push each other, because that's the only way we can get through. We can't do this life alone. We're called to do it with other people, with other believers. So at the end of the day, we have to have that community to walk alongside us through all phases of life.
If you weren't playing football, what would you do? What would you like to do?
I've been thinking about it. I think I'm going to play this game for as long as I can. I love this game so much, so as long as God allows me to play it, I'm going to do it. But I think I just want to impact the next generation when it comes to sports, impact them in a positive way, on and off the field in their relationship with Christ, and show them the love of Jesus, but also show them what a great role model can be, because I had great role models in my life throughout the time I was growing up playing sports.
So my final question, we are talking with Josiah Deguara, tight end from the Green Bay Packers. Each week on the radio, every Wednesday, we play a game, Would You Rather? Mm-hmm. And this week, in honor of the championships coming up, our question was, would you rather see the Lions in the championship or the 49ers?
I gotta plead the fifth and go with neither, because I just wish we were there. Yeah. It's hard for me to even watch the game this weekend, to be honest, because I know
he's one of those neither people.
Yeah.
Crash doesn't like it when people say neither, but I get that. I mean, even as a fan,
man.
it was like, do you cheer for the Lions because the Lions are our rivals? But then the 49ers took us out. So how can we cheer for the 49ers?
I know. I always say, I grew up a Raiders fan, as I said. Mm-hmm. So I grew up a Raiders fan, so I never liked the Niners. And then I got to Green Bay, and I like the Niners even less. But then the Lions are a division rival, so it's like, I guess if I had to choose, I would go Lions. But Yeah, neither. Sorry about that answer.
It was honest.
Yeah.
Why don't we pray for him and his family and the Packers? You want to do
Yes,
that?
let's do that. Lord, thank you for this time that we've had together. Thank you for the calling that you've placed on Josiah's life and bringing him here to Green Bay. Thank you for the impact that he's been able to make as a player, but also as a child of you, and just the way that he's able to be able to encourage his team and be a role model for others. I pray your hand of blessing and protection on his life in the off season. Thank you for healing him of injuries, and I pray that you would keep his body and his mind strong as you walk him into the future, and sometimes that can be uncertain. So I just pray that you would guide him and give him wisdom as you continue to map out the course of his next steps. We just thank you for this time and for him and his family. Pray your blessings on him. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
And I hope we'll get to see you again.